Nope. I put that there to put new batteries in, and it's good to go.
Mom is not good with graphite paper.
We only have one mic on right now. We're just still getting set up. Nice. Okay, we are live on the YouTubes.
Awesome.
We have about 2 minutes to paint time. Sounds like you're ready to go.
Did Mama do that? I tried to do eyes.
Okay, I'm gonna put this here for you and here for you, okay? And those are your paintbrushes.
I tried to do eyes and it didn't work out.
Extra cup of water.
Where should I put my seahorse? How
Let me get one more reference photo of the seahorse.
I don't know where to put the seahorse. Prepare the eyes.
Okay, okay. Okay,
I can go look for you.
I think we got everything.
To know how Fox's eyes look. So I can draw. Maddie, you're funny. Did a quick thing like this? No, I can go see for you.
All right.
No. I don't remember.
Nice. Howdy from the UK. Hi from Texas. Hi from Michigan. Hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
Donna, we don't compare our work to others, so just be ready to have fun.
I have now gotten my
Mom, it
aunt.
looks kind of like an old.
We found these kids outside, so we thought maybe they'd like to paint. Just kind of invited them in.
Just pick them up.
We had cupcakes, so they're suckers for cupcakes.
Banging on the door with cupcake. Pleasant.
Okay.
My aunt from Florida has seen my pictures and has learned
Oofda
Swedish.
from Fargo.
Really?
Yes.
That's awesome.
Sarah, I forgot to check with you about your camera angles. They look great.
You okay?
I'm switching so you can see real quick.
Mommy, can you draw a fox eye for me? Can you draw
Okay,
a
I
fox
think
eye
that's
for me?
good. I'm gonna try and have this
Ooh, risky business.
there. Emily, let's see if we can leave that there. Do you think that's okay?
Challenge accepted.
Challenge accepted. Let's do this. Yeah, that looks good.
I want Mommy to tell me.
Would it be helpful if you stood it up, maybe?
No, like how fox eyes, real fox eyes look.
Oh, totally, totally. Okay.
Mommy, can you draw a fox eye? Fox eye?
Just like. Okay. Here, if you need. Oh,
We
that's
are
Jessie's
good
tape.
to
It says her
go.
name on it. That's all right. I just want to try this.
Cupcakes can bribe me.
Okay, tell me if you can hear me eating.
No. Like, no. I know how fox eyes look in real life.
Anything?
No.
Amazing.
I heard an initial, but other than that, it's fine.
That is so good.
Like that?
Mm.
Fox eyes don't look like that.
We're at 7:17.
Leslie said one of my children aged 11 used one of my ground brushes to paint with glitter glue. I'm so sorry.
How creative.
I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay, we ready?
We're ready.
Okay, welcome everybody to Let's Make Art. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm really excited to paint along with you. And tonight we are doing the Seahorse.
Ooh.
Except Madison. I think Madison here is going to be painting her fox, which is just great. We
Yeah.
love when people want to do their own thing.
Absolutely.
We also have this Seahorse that Emily brought for another reference. So if you want blue and yellow,
It kind of
I
makes me
actually have
think.
those colors.
It makes me think of Pete's dragon. I don't know.
Okay,
I don't know.
I can see that.
Yeah. Does that make? Yeah.
Dragon.
Yeah. I'm Sarah Cray. Keenan is working cameras.
Here I am.
You'll hear him. He also presents us with very knowledgeable facts that are always accurate, so don't worry about it. We have, and you might recognize these faces. They've been on before, and I'm so glad they're able to join us again. We have Jessica, and we have Madison, and we have Emily. And it's Emily's birthday. Is it today?
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. She's 9, which is such a
Yeah,
great
that's a great
time.
age.
It's just great.
And that is all her birthday has been painting. Painting
Yes.
lights. We did a painting table with a new light.
I love that you love painting so
also,
much.
you guys should notice the shirts that they
Oh,
made
yes.
themselves.
Yes. I'm not mad about it. What does yours say, Madison? I promise to have fun and be kind to yourself.
It's
We've
so
got our-
awesome.
It's so great. It makes me so happy.
Yeah.
Okay, so for this project, we're using 3 colors. We have magenta, pink, and deep yellow. If you aren't using the same exact paints we are, that's totally okay. You can still paint along. Magenta is kind of like a hot pink with slight undertones of purple. Pink is a very soft pink. It's a very light value color naturally. So don't be upset if it's like not super dark. If you got that in a box or kit, that's just how that color is. And deep yellow is just a really, really warm yellow. And we have 6 steps for this Seahorse. So step number 1, we're going to do an all over pink wash. Step number 2, we're going to put in the ridges. I think somebody called them armor or something on YouTube. Gosh, I need to write those things down.
I didn't see anything that anyone called them, and I know for a fact I called them the wrong thing.
I called them ridges, but I feel like somebody gave me another
Armor's
name.
pretty cool.
I like armor.
Yeah.
It's hard.
pretty neat, yeah.
Number 3, we're going to do the shadows on the belly and the chin, jawline. Step number 4, we're going to do the head and the eye. Step number 5, we're going to do the fin. And the very last step is splatters. Now, we might kind of combine some of those steps depending on how wet some things are or just whatever needs our attention at the time. So just know that that's okay if we go off script a little bit. We do have an outline for this project, so what we're going to do is we're going to outline our project first, and then we'll do our oath, and then we will do our warm-ups, and then we will start painting. Okay? So, graphite paper. If you get a subscription box, it's in with your postcard, okay? Now, when you take your graphite paper, the first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to tape your outline to your watercolor paper, and that way it holds still while you're tracing it, and that way you can lift up and check the lines as you're tracing. Now, you're going to take your graphite paper, so there's like a light gray side and then like a shiny dark side, and you're going to want to do shiny dark side down, okay? Now, whatever mark you make on this paper, it will transfer onto your watercolor paper. And watercolor is transparent, so try and do really, really light pressure or use like a felt tip marker. It will be light naturally. I'm going to do my line a little bit darker. That way you guys can see what I'm doing. But what I always like to do is I like to do 1 stroke and then I check it and see. And if it's too dark, then I know to go lighter. If it's too light, then I know to press harder. So just take a minute and start tracing. Yes.
The seahorse daddies give the birth,
I know. Isn't that the coolest thing?
and then they eat their own babies afterwards.
Do they really?
Only 1 or 2 survived.
Maybe that's why dads shouldn't have the kids.
Maybe it's a good thing that dads.
We saw the earlier.
Wow.
We actually looked up videos because
Interesting.
we knew when we were in school. So we looked up videos and saw how seahorses give birth.
And then they
And
sometimes
that-
eat them.
They can give birth to like 1,000.
Oh yeah, somebody posted a video of them, and it's just like tiny little ones, like just like a billion of them pop
So the
out.
dads are like, yeah, Rick and Jerry, we'll get more later. It's fine. We'll just eat these ones. Yeah.
Fast enough, they may have a snack.
Exactly.
Wow.
That's
They will eat
crazy.
They will, you know.
It is
I wonder
They will
why.
carry the babies, but then they will eat them. So, keep that in
I'm
mind.
hungry.
Maybe seahorses originally it was like men were supposed to carry the babies, and then after that they're like, you know, maybe not.
We got to change this. Something went wrong.
I'm sure that there's actually other like animals out there or whatever where the females will eat. That's got to be a thing, right? I
Yeah,
don't know.
I believe that 100%.
There's so much out there. It's got to be something.
Nicole says, requested that I say this whenever I get a chance. She says, Jessica, Emily, and Madison, I say hi, and she's bummed she's not in Missouri this week.
Hi, Nicole.
They gave us a gift to give to you. So
Yes, I will have it at my desk for when you are in town.
So Nicole, when you come next week, we have that for you. Don't let us forget.
I did find the thesaurus.
Yes, we have that
I was
handy.
just asked if I found it, so I did, yes.
It was right where I said I put it.
It was in front of me the entire time.
Literally the entire time.
I looked up in the ceiling and it wasn't there. I was shocked.
Kaden is like, I don't know where the thesaurus is.
Where did they put it?
I'm like, just look on the table
It's
where
on
I
the
put
table.
it.
It was there the whole
A
time.
thesaurus?
Yeah.
It's Google, isn't it?
Some very wonderful lady sent us a thesaurus, and that way when we're questioning if we're using the right words, we can just look it up.
Emily, didn't you have a seahorse joke too? Do you
No.
remember it? You don't remember it? The
Oh, I know.
oh, you know.
What does a cowboy ride in the SeaWorld?
What?
A seahorse.
That's great. Okay. Good. I think we're good on the tracing. Yes, dear.
Roblox eyes. I cannot figure out.
You cannot figure out how to draw fox eyes? You want it to look exactly like those?
No, real fox eyes.
Oh gosh. I don't know if I can draw real fox eyes right now. I might have to look at a real fox.
That's a tall order.
But it's okay. I think you can make the eyes like that, and I think they would still look great.
Even the eyes are pink.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
I would want to.
Oh, the paintbrushes we're using, round 6 and a round 2. Princeton, Heritage Series, 4050. These are excellent brushes, great quality. If you need them, you can find them at letsmakeart.com. But those are the 2 brushes we're using. Okay. After you have your thing outlined, set it aside so we can do our warm-ups. But before we do our warm-ups, we got to do our oath. So, if you can raise your right hand. Do you remember the oath, word for word? Do you want to lead us in it? No? Okay, that's fine. Okay, raise your hand and repeat after me. I promise to be kind to myself.
I promise to be kind to myself.
I promise not to compare my work.
I promise not to compare my work.
And I promise to have fun.
And I promise to have fun.
She was down with that one. Okay, so for our warm-ups, one thing that I want us to practice is a value change, which value is super, super important when you're painting. Value is not about the color, it's all about the lightness or darkness of that color. So like monochromatic, grayscale, you can still see values in those things, if that makes sense. So what I want you to do is dip your paintbrush in the water, hit it off at the side of the cup so you don't have excess water, pick up a color, any color you want, and I want you to make a swatch on your paper. And you want to work pretty quickly, so I'm going to do this fast. So after you do your swatch, right here. This is your darkest value. Immediately after, you're going to dip your brush into the water a few times, hit it off the side of the cup, and right where you left off, you're going to do another swatch. And then you dip again, hit it off the side, another swatch. Dip again, hit it off the side, another swatch, and just keep on going until you essentially run out of color and you have like a barely there color. So when we do the ridges, this is the technique that we're going to use, where right kind of, you can see it right here. It's closest to the line, it's really dark, and then it kind of transitions to a lighter value, which is what we want. So here, this is dark value, this is medium value, and this is our light value. Now, I think it actually might be worth it. I've never done this before on a warm-up, but I think it might be helpful if we actually tried to do the opposite, because sometimes it's really hard to grab a light value from the beginning. So this is what I do to grab light values and why I like my butcher trays. So I'm going to rinse my brush and make sure it's just water. And then instead of soaking my paintbrush in the paint and the belly of the brush and just filling up my brush, instead I'm going to just use the tip of my brush and grab a little bit of color. Okay, so I'm kind of pulling off to the side. And this is why I like butcher tray palettes, because it gives me room to pull, where when you have those the paint trays that are just little circles that the paint sits in, it's really hard to pull from those. So here's my light, and I'm going to start with my light. Okay, and then every time you dip in, you're just going to pick up a little bit more paint. So we're going to do the opposite. Now, you might not get it perfectly. It might take a few tries, and it might not be as smooth as working the other way, because you have to pick up paint instead of rinsing your brush. But this is a great exercise in learning like how much paint you should pick up depending on the value that you want. So right now I'm kind of more sticking my paintbrush fully into the paint to get darker.
It's also a good exercise to see how much paint the brush can pick up.
Yeah.
Because watching you and Nicole, I've seen that a lot of the brushes that you guys have been switching back and forth from have
Beautiful.
They have different amounts that they can absorb.
Yes. So here we went from light to dark. It may be not as smooth. I can see a little bit more hard lines, but if you're having trouble with being able to choose the value that you want while you're painting and not understanding how much water and paint you should have, I would suggest doing this value change, but starting from light and then going to dark, because I think that's good practice on how much paint and water you should have. Okay, so we did that. Great, congratulations. Now what we're going to do is I want us to practice layering. I'm just checking to see if this is dry. Is yours dry? It's pretty dry. Okay, this is what we're gonna do. So we layer colors on this a few times, and this is called wet on dry technique, which is we put a wash down, we put a layer down, and then it dries, and then we put paint on top of that. And I just want you to see how transparent watercolors work, or how layering works with watercolors. So I'm gonna pick up some yellow. So you're gonna choose a different color. I would suggest yellow, since the pink is really light and it probably would just go in line with the magenta. And I just want you to go over a dry area on your first round that we did with the yellow. Yeah, no problem. And if you need, if it keeps on running, you're free to use those palettes there if there's like a room for you. So I just want you guys to play with what it looks like if you were to do a little bit of a...
It's red.
Ooh, look at that color. Look at this color that Emily got right there. That is good. That's a good color. But just kind of play with that. See, like, okay, if I do a little bit of the yellow on top of the pink, how does that look? Well, you can't see that much, but it gives it a little bit of warmth. What would it be like if I did a lot of yellow right over it? Oh, that makes this gorgeous, like, almost red pink color. That's really beautiful. Oh, Mandy asked how one goes about coming to paint with us, just email our customer service, hello@letsmakeart.com, and they will look at our tutorial schedule and see if there is a slot that works for you. So again, hello@letsmakeart.com, our wonderful customer service team will help you. And we're in Hamilton, Missouri, so you have to come here. We have to stay here. A little bit of warning, Hamilton is a very small town, kind of in the middle of, not a lot.
It's in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
We did see a fox on the way here, which
Ooh.
we're really excited about. So.
Cool.
Nice.
You'll see some
Nice.
wild animals,
Yeah.
a lot of fields.
Not a lot of places to eat.
No, if you want to come here for dinner before the live, you will be out of luck.
Yeah.
But-
if you eat in Cameron,
Yeah.
you can find some fast food joints.
If you want some fast food about
Yeah.
15 minutes away, we got
Yeah.
that.
We had pizza,
Ooh, yum. What's your favorite kind of pizza?
red sauce.
Just
There,
Yeah. Yes, dear.
Look at the, when I just stab it like
Whoa, that's beautiful. That'd be a cool picture to take, huh? Little swirls. Okay, now.
When I dip my bleed-proof white in the water and
Yeah.
the water's like colored,
Yeah.
it makes like designs in it.
Ooh, cool. I love it when that happens.
I use bleed-proof white a lot.
You know what? Bleed Proof White is coming up in one of our boxes. And I'm so excited.
Sneak peek. Don't tell anyone.
Don't tell anybody, it's coming up. So if you've never played with it before, you'll be able to play with it. There's a red dot on top of the camera, Keenan,
Okay.
on the mic.
A red dot?
Yeah. Does that mean it's off?
Mine.
Okay.
I'm
Sorry.
muted, yes, no, you-
Sorry. Okay. Now the last thing that we're going to practice is our thin lines.
I am not going to let my seahorse get messy.
Good idea. Yeah, let's leave that right there.
Want me to hold it?
No.
Keenan, stop trying to take your stuffed animal, please. Not everything is for you.
It might disappear before you leave. Who knows?
Okay, so when you're using, when you want to do thin lines, the magical thing about rounds is you can get really thin lines even if you have a larger paintbrush. So if you don't have a round 2 and you just have a round 6, you absolutely still can do this. It just takes a little bit more finesse, but it's totally possible. So when you're doing thin lines, you just want to use the tip. And you see how in rounds, this is why rounds are so magical, is they all have a very gorgeous tip at the top. So when you're doing thin lines, you just want to grab paint. And you don't want too much water or too much paint, because even though this narrows in at the top, it will spread out your brush because it's heavy with paint or water. So you're just picking up a little bit, and then you're just going to use, so this is my 6. So this is how thin of a line I can get with my 6. Now, if it's harder for you to do thin lines with the larger one, then try a smaller paintbrush and see if that's more helpful. Very nice. You just want to go a vertical hold, so you're using just the tip of the bristles. And then you're barely touching that paintbrush to the paper. So much so that you can see that sometimes I accidentally lift up and there's a gap. Don't worry about that. Oh, those are great. Great thin lines.
Sarah,
Yes.
look what I did with the black. I accidentally touched it.
Oh, cool.
It went all over.
It's going to start mixing together. Okay. Oh, and one last thing. I just want to show you how we're going to layer colors on top of each other a few times to get the eye color. So if I take my magenta again and layer on top of this right here, I just want to show you how layering things a few times, you can get some really dark values. So we're just practicing trying to get as dark as we can. Now, one thing I want you to notice is this is still wet, and if I keep on touching it, even with more paint, it actually is not going to do anything. So a lot of trying to get darker values with the colors that you have is waiting for it to dry and then doing another layer on top, waiting for that to dry, and then doing another layer. If you keep on adding while it's wet, it's just going to stay the same, and that could be very frustrating. So I just want to let you know it's all about layering. Okay.
I chose a bad shoe choice.
Oh dear. Are they hurting your toes?
Yes.
That's a bummer.
No.
Keenan will offer his shoes for you.
No.
Mine won't hurt your toes.
They're way bigger than my shoe size.
Okay, we're moving on to our painting. I think we're ready to go. So step one, we're gonna take our round 6, and the first thing that we're gonna do is just using our pink color, we are going to do a light, just a wash across the entire thing, okay? So I'm gonna get my paintbrush wet, I'm gonna pick up some pink paint, and I'm just going to start painting. Now, one thing that I like to do is I first like to grab a bunch of paint and put it down, and then I just use water to help spread it around. So it's not like I'm constantly picking up paint and putting it. You have to remember that with watercolor, you have to treat water as if it is a paint itself, and that is gonna help you, one, make your paint last a lot longer and have it go a long way, and also how you can achieve different values, which is very, very important when you're painting anything.
Sarah Cray.
Yes, I love that you say Sarah Cray so much. It's so great.
How do I make like it look like this is like a snout?
Okay, you gotta let that dry, and maybe after we paint our seahorse, I can show you how you can do that, okay? Did you ever paint the bear, the mama bear?
No. I did.
You did? Or the dog? Because both of those have snouts.
I never painted those.
You did the dog. You did the retriever.
Oh,
Oh.
I did the lion. I did the
Oh, Marie asked how she can get color off her, is it aquash brush? I think that's what she's saying. Since the bristles are white on your aquash brush, it might just be stained. Like usually white, like paintbrushes that have white like bristles, they stain with color. And as long as it's not leaving a residue when you're painting, like as long as that color still isn't there when you go to paint again, I think that's okay. That was great.
That is what happens though. The aquash brush bristles do stain.
Yeah.
Nicole brings it up in one of her tutorials actually.
But I know that there's like a kind of soap that you can get. I've actually never used it, but it's like a brush conditioner and a brush cleaner. I don't know if that would take out the stains on the white bristles, but it's something to try. Oh, also I'm avoiding the fin when I'm filling in my pink. If you already painted the fin, it's not a huge deal, but I'm sorry I didn't say that earlier. So another thing that's really helpful is when you're trying to paint full areas at a time, notice that I am using the side of my brush. I'm doing more of a horizontal hold because that allows me to get like a bigger area at one time. I'm not going to be using the tip and trying to like fill this in because that's like a billion brush strokes. So you can do a thicker line and cover more area by just painting with this side of your brush.
Nicole commented and said, yes, the aquash brushes stain, but they don't paint that color. So whoever asked is good to go.
Yeah, Marie, you should be good to go. Very nice. Oh, I love those little texture lines you got right there. Now you'll see as this dries that you will get some blooms, and blooms happen when things dry unevenly or if the water is distributed unevenly on your paper. That's how you get those lines. I love them. I truly do. I really do. And it's because it just creates this element that is accidental and is totally yours. It's really, really difficult to mimic blooms because they just happen. And so like these lines, these harsh lines that I'm starting to get, you just need to start appreciating them and knowing that that is what makes your art unique. If you just totally hate them and they're driving you nuts and you want to give up watercolor painting because the blooms, you just can't handle it, use a different paper. Use like bee paper or Stonehenge or Arches because the paper thickness is different. It soaks up the water a lot easy, which then makes it so it kind of evens out really easy. People have done examples of like doing like paintings on the Arches and the Canson in our group. especially like skies. And you can see the difference in how it kind of blends a little bit easier on those paper. But that's actually why I love the Canson and I choose to use the Canson because I really do like blooms and I think they're so beautiful. So beautiful.
Sarah?
Yes.
I love blooms, so I try to make them on purpose.
You know what? I do the same exact thing. Me and you were on the same wavelength.
Sarah Cray,
Yeah.
can I adjust that real fast?
Yeah.
I just want to make it, I think I can make it clearer,
Clearer.
more clearer.
Nicole asked if you don't like blooms, is there a way to blend them out? So what you can do if you don't like blooms, there's not a way to totally blend them out, but you can soften them. A way that you can soften them is just take a damp brush, so one that's not heavy with water, like just damp, and you can just work that line that's harsh back and forth. But if you have too much water on your brush when you're doing this, it will then just create another bloom. So just be aware of that. But if you want to practice blending things out, you can, but it will soften it. It won't make it disappear, but it can lighten it a little bit. Okay, that's step one.
Sarah?
Yes.
I know how I make blooms. I use salt and it makes blooms.
Yes, it does. Salt is a great thing to use when you want some cool textures going on. Okay, step two. We're gonna paint the ridges now. Oh, sorry, Fox. So, you'll see that we have some outlines here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my magenta and maybe a little bit of the yellow if you want to give it that little like warmth pink. And we're going to practice just like we did with our first warm-up, which is I'm going to do a dark edge here. Okay, so that's the darkest part, and then I rinse my brush, hit it off the side of the cup so it's not too wet, and I'm just going to smooth out and transition out to a lighter value. And so we're just putting a darker value in on those ridges, and that's how we can tell that it has that armor texture, right? That those areas go in, and then there's parts that poke out. It's all about the value. That's all it is. So how we communicate that is by putting in a darker value, and you'll see right now it's gonna look a little bit funky, but when we get about halfway through or 3/4 of the way through, you'll start to notice that when you put a darker value, it goes away and the highlighted part sticks up, okay? So don't give up on your painting halfway through. You really can't see it emerge until you're almost done.
Sarah?
Yes.
Can you use this?
Yes, absolutely. Have fun. That's a fan brush. It's great for textures, shrubbery if you're doing landscapes.
There's a question here,
Love questions.
and you may have covered it,
Okay.
but just to reiterate, why do you wet your brush each time if you're picking up the same color?
Because I'll show you. If you take a totally dry brush and you don't wet it and you just pick up color, it will not go smoothly on your paper. You see how I have this texture element here? So even though this is liquid watercolor and it is liquid, it will not create a smooth line unless your brush is moist. And so if you're getting these kind of textures, which can be beneficial depending on what you're painting, sometimes I like those textures in my painting, but if you want it to be smooth, you need to get your brush wet, then pick up paint, and that's how you get a smooth line. Yes?
Yes.
Thank you. Also, when you're doing this and you're doing your ridges, I like to drop in other colors. Like here you saw I dropped in a little bit of yellow and it kind of mixed to like an orange. Feel free to kind of drop in those hints of other colors. You can see it on the reference photo here, those hints of yellow and orange.
You might have to show that again because the picture-in-picture is right on it.
Oh, I'll put it right here.
Perfect.
Can they see that?
No.
Okay, I'll move it. I'm gonna move this over just a little bit, okay?
Okay.
Is that better?
Yes, much better.
Because the thing we want to go for here is variation. Variation in color and variation in value. I know that especially when we're like starting out or trying something new, we're really scared of like dropping in a random color and just seeing what that does. But I've noticed that with my own work, when I use the same exact shade or tone of a color across the entire thing, it's not as visually interesting to me as when I drop in other hints of colors here and there. So that's why I like to do that. And remember, if you just want to try something and you're just curious to see how it turns out, and if it doesn't turn out, it is not the end of the world. You tried something, you learned something, you can paint it again, doing something different, but that's how you get better. That's how you learn what works for you or doesn't work for you, is just playing around. How are your ridges coming along? Oh, I love that hint of yellow right there, beautiful. Oh, we got some glare going on here. I will see if that helps.
Sarah?
Yes.
When I put the paint down, it isn't very dark.
Okay, I think you have a little bit too much water. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lift up this water here. And when you grab this color, you're gonna wanna grab it straight from like this heavy part where all the paint is.
I'm grabbing from this.
Okay, you're gonna wanna grab from there.
Okay.
Donna wants to know why her paint is moving all around the outside of the butcher tray. She has less paint than you, and it's moved 10 inches.
If your butcher tray is on an uneven surface, it will move a lot.
Also, the middle is convex, so it's, it's pushing to the edge.
Don't put paint in the very middle of your tray because this is bowed on purpose.
Yeah.
It is not an error. That's how these are supposed to be. So that's why I put the paint along the edges, and I pull to the middle, and then yeah, if you're on an uneven surface, it can move around.
And Heather says, my ridges are blooming around the edges. Is that because my paper is still wet?
That's possible, but I probably wouldn't be able to say for sure unless I saw it. What's up? That's okay. That could be one. Each Seahorse ridge armor is different, I'm sure. If yours accidentally blends together,
Mine
not a big deal.
Have it. Mine has sparkles.
Well, that's magical Seahorse.
There are 36 types.
There's 36 types of Seahorses?
We researched these.
I endorse this information whether I know it or not.
Keenan's like, that sounds right. In my research, I came up with that also.
They also move 5 feet per hour.
Whoa,
Very slow.
That's
not very far. How big are Seahorses?
5 foot an hour?
5
This.
foot an hour.
This big.
Sounds terrible.
Like, I have been to the aquarium where I've seen Seahorses that are seriously like the size of my pinky nail, but I don't know how.
Those are probably babies.
They probably are. I wonder how big adults
What if
are.
they get distracted? Adults only get to like 14 inches long, tops.
Okay,
I think like this big.
so that's about 6 inches.
I think the seahorses are this big.
Let's see how big this is. My hand is 6 inches.
It's more than 6.
That's probably about 8 inches. That sounds about right.
Yep.
This is definitely bigger than my hand.
Switch to the side cam, so watch your head.
Okay. And if you can work quickly, sometimes what I do is I'll put all the dark values in like 4 of the ridges and then just quickly wet my brush and spread them out. Now the thing with blending things out that I want you guys to keep in mind is that the more the paint has just to sit on the paper, the longer it dries, the harder it is to blend out into a smooth line. Oh yeah, use your 2. If you're having trouble with the size of your round 6, switch to your 2.
This cupcake is filled with joy.
What kind did you get?
I don't know.
You got s'mores.
I got s'mores.
Can you describe it to me? Is it very marshmallowy? Is it more chocolatey?
You ever had a pancake with brown sugar and butter? That's how the top tastes.
Wow.
But it's creamier because the butter didn't melt. And then you've got this cupcake that is just so fluffy.
What is
Dare I say moist?
Listen, people don't like that word here. We don't use that word here. What does the flavor of the cake part taste like?
I don't think I can say that I care about that. Because the top is just so good.
Kind of like Madison. She just eats ice.
What flavor did you get?
Orange.
Oh, yum.
It's very sweet.
Okay, so I'm about to the point where my ridges are looking complete.
I'm not.
That's okay. Take your time. We all paint at different speeds, and that is totally okay.
Very fast.
Well, you're a professional, obviously.
I'm a professional watermeloner. Yeah, she paints a lot of watermelons. She's
I have one hanging up by my desk. I love it. Now I can start to see a little bit of the dimension coming out. So again, keep on going. Even if you finish the ridges and you're like, these just look like spots and not like ridges, give yourself some time. Don't give up just yet. Don't quit on a painting halfway through. You have to give it a chance first to like develop.
It's like a doggy bit off your father's nail and you don't want him anymore.
Totally. That's exactly what that is.
I see that very clearly now.
That actually did happen. Yes, it
We had a
happened.
really bad rescue dog.
Oh. They're like true story.
Oh, so this is
They're
from
speaking from experience.
Excellent.
Coming up.
Betty as the dog.
Did you, what kind of dog was Benny?
A bulldog.
He was supposed to be an English bulldog, and he was
He beat up Daddy's.
he was a lot bigger than we expected.
Like the whole finger?
No, his
No,
fingernail.
like through the thing.
Oh.
And actually, it was bad. He actually broke a bone in his hand. It was bad.
That sounds pretty intense. Okay, let's do a check-in.
Table, my favorite
Madison,
table.
let's check in.
Madison is doing a fox.
This is Madison.
I
She's
acci-
painting her
I-
fox.
I accidentally got into the part is supposed to be white. Got it pink.
I think it looks great.
I should use weed-proof white to get rid of that spot.
Okay, let's see Jessica's. Can I see yours? Okay. This is beautiful. I love her transitions, and you can see here where you're getting these just light, nice dark values. It looks like after she wet the area, she also dropped in a little bit of color, which is how you get those changes right there. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Very nice. Emily, can I see yours? Okay. This is Emily's. These are great. She's filling in her ridges. I love how dark she got her ridges going on here. And I think these colors look beautiful together. Oh yeah, look at that. Yes. The sling died?
No, it's still on.
Okay.
Your production continued without interruption while you were away.
So we're fine.
I can't hear you.
Okay, let us know if you can't hear the words that I'm saying. My mic is still on. I'm not getting any comments that they can't hear us. We good? Okay, I'm just gonna keep on going. Okay, so now we're ready to move on to step 3. We're gonna do the shadows on the belly and the chin. So on the belly, it's not gonna be as, how do I say this? There's ridges, but they're not as intense as the spine. So, you okay? Oh, your hair. So I'm actually gonna grab some more yellow to get more of like a different, again, like I said earlier, I just love introducing other colors to a painting, but this is your painting. If you wanna keep them pink, you absolutely have that right to. So I kind of have some ridges outlined here, and I'm going to go ahead and use my yellow to paint those in. And then don't be afraid to kind of blend them out. So I put in the yellow. I'm going to use some water to kind of transition out. And then I'm going to kind of follow these lines. And if you want to put some pink back in there, you can. I'm going to do some like pink orange. And this yellow kind of continues all the way down the tail. And one little thing about the outlines. If you go outside the outlines, if you forget to draw a line, it is not a big deal. Outlines that I make for you are just references. We don't want to fill these in and color block them like coloring books. That's not the point of them. So don't be afraid to go past the line. Don't be afraid to just keep smoothing things out. And if you forget a spot, just eyeball it. It's not the end of the world. Nobody really will know the difference. You'll be just fine.
Is our eye soon?
What?
Is the eye soon?
The eye is after this, yes. And I'm going to kind of make this orangey color for when this tail curls in. Now, one thing I would also like to say too is depending on how light of a value you did your first wash, like I'm looking at especially this area right here, and this pink was so light that when I put the dark pink next to it, it almost turned that light pink into white. It almost made that pink disappear. So what you can do when that happens is you can go back in if the area is still dry, and if you want to kind of do another layer of paint so it doesn't look like it's against a white surface, you can absolutely do that. Now you might not have to do this, so this is where I want you to look at your painting and just kind of notice and just be like, no, my pink is still there. It's obviously pink underneath it. It's not.
What?
It's. So you can just take some pink and blend around. Here, wait, you got a little bit in your hair.
On the
There you go.
on the swirl, are we supposed
Yeah.
to
Yep.
do like we did the scales or whatever around?
So I just kind of made it all yellow, and then I'm going in and just kind of darkening right here just a little bit. So it's not as detailed as the spine for the ridges. You have your, where's your lemonade? Did you drink it all?
My
Okay.
Seahorse has a necklace.
It's beautiful. Okay, now I'm also going to do on the underside of the jaw, I'm going to do a little bit of shadow. So here's my reference photo. I'll see if I can balance it on the pencil so it's not super shiny. And right on this neck area where it meets, there's going to be a dark value, and then kind of underneath it.
BG Love is asking, do you pre-wet your paper before you start?
I do not pre-wet my paper. This is Canson watercolor paper, 140-pound cold press. I don't think you need to wet this paper before or prep it. Somebody said they tried it and it didn't make any difference. So, but with other papers, you might want to do that. Okay, step 4, we're going to do the head and the eyes. So I'm going to grab yellow, and I'm going to put yellow right on this snout and introduce just a little bit more yellow to the head in general. So like the top part where there's these ridges and kind of horn looking things, I'm gonna put a layer of
Like
yellow.
on a seahorse.
Yeah, exactly like on the seahorse you brought. And can I have that yellow, Jessica, please? We ran out. Thank you. Somebody asked, are you using the same water throughout the whole painting? Yes, I'm using the same water cup. I do have 2 water cups here though. One is a little bit dirtier and one I keep cleaner in case I need some clean water. I have it handy. But usually I just pull from the same water cup.
Do the paints usually dry darker or lighter than when you first put them on?
They dry a little bit lighter than when you first put them on. When they're wet, they're slightly darker. Okay. So, there's our head.
I need some of this.
Beautiful. And you can, if you guys can see my outline, I'm going outside of my outline because I like made a mark, but I needed that line to be smooth. So if you accidentally go outside your outline, just move the whole line a little bit thicker, and then it's not a problem. It's not a big deal. Crisis averted. Okay, now for the eyeball. First thing I'm going to do, so our eyeball here is kind of a donut looking thing. The pupil, what I'm going to do for the pupil is grab some magenta and some yellow. And I'm just going to put the pupil in, and if you can leave a white little dot at the top part for a glare, do that. You don't want the dot to be too big though. If you leave the white dot too big, it will change how the eye looks.
There, I made a tiny little dot.
Beautiful. Okay, now we're going to leave that alone. This is going to be kind of light right now, but don't worry, we're going to do a few layers on top of it. Also, in your, if you have the subscription, there's a bunch of other colors in there. If you want to make sure it's really dark, you can grab a little bit of the berry blue that's in your box, and that will darken that right up.
Sarah?
Yes.
In Mama's kit she got,
Yeah.
most of the colors were duplicates that she gave.
Oh,
The
yeah?
only color that Mama had is honey brown.
Yeah?
Most of them were mine because most of them were duplicates.
Yes. Well, that will happen if you subscribe for a long time.
That's true.
You have painted all
Okay.
of the videos.
The next thing that we're going to do is on the outline, on the circle
I
part.
have some splashes.
Oh, good. You're ahead of the game.
We did splashes.
Gorgeous. On the donut part on the right hand side, you'll see that I kind of have a section outlined. I just want to do another layer of pink right there. So it's
Mine
just,
already dark.
well then you don't have to worry about that. But we just want to show that this round part has a little bit of dimension. It's 3-dimensional. And so we just add just a hint of value. You can see it in the reference photo too. It's just this area right here. Actually, I'll move that closer in the frame so you can see. This is what we're trying to mimic right here. And this is the same kind of shape and shadow that you would see on like tires on cars, like the rims and stuff. It's that same idea. Okay, and then right outside the donut on the right hand side, I put a shadow there. And the reason why we want to put a shadow there or a darker value there is to show that the eyeball is actually sticking out from the face. So we have to separate those two and show that they're on 2 separate planes. And the way to do that is through value. So I'm going to go here to the right of this donut and put in a darker value. But you want to make sure that you kind of transition this out. So I put it in, and then I'm going to take a damp brush and just kind of blend that out. And we might have to do a couple layers on this to make sure that it's nice and as dark as we want. But for the layers to actually show up, you have to wait for them to dry. So I'm going to say that this is good for layer 1, and I'll go back in and darken the pupil and darken the shadow around the eyeball. Okay? Say K.
Okay.
All right, now we're going to move on to the fin. Am I moving too fast, Jessica? I'll wait a minute. I just realized that I'm like 3, 4, 5. Sorry, guys. Let's just take a breather for a minute.
I've always been that in those live painting things. I'm always like 5 steps. Go back 5 steps. What was that?
I ate my entire cupcake.
Well, aren't you lucky?
And then I realized that I'm trying not to eat after 7 p.m.
You're welcome.
I failed. Yeah, they're delicious though. Can we do a let's eat art video?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll bring many as cupcakes as we want.
Yeah, people are like, you're going way too fast. All right, I'm sorry. I slowed down. I'm sorry. I caught myself. What's this fella's name?
Neptune.
Ooh,
That's a great name.
that's a great name. I used to have a fish named Neptune.
I like to keep the names they come with.
Oh, cool.
I don't.
You like to make up your own names?
Like this one was, I forgot, Slick. And then I changed it to Peach because her fur is kind of peach colored.
That's the perfect name for a peachy looking fox. Peach.
I have another 2 foxes. One is called
She has
Foxy.
a whole fox family.
Mm-hmm.
Foxy.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like a small tiny fox
Cute.
that's called Fox Jr.
Cute.
I think it's supposed to be a raccoon.
Well, it's supposed to be a fox, red panda, but I changed it into
Hey, they said they don't have any sound. We got a couple people saying no sound.
We have sound.
Did you hit mute? I'm just kidding.
Can you hear us now?
Can you hear us now? Let's see if we get more. Some people saying that they have sound, and 2 people are saying they don't have sound.
I can hear you, and we are streaming.
All right, then I'm not going to worry about it. Okay.
We hear you. I have sound. I have
Great,
sound.
great,
I have
great.
sound. Don't have to brag. Jeez.
All right, now we're gonna move on to 4. We're gonna do the fin, and then we'll come back and finish the eye. So for the fin, I kind of just stayed more doing this yellow color. So I'm just gonna take this deep yellow and do yellow here. Kind of a lighter yellow across the entire thing. And then as where the fin comes out from the body, that's where I'm gonna do kind of an orange pink color.
You want another paper?
Bonnie says, speaking of eating the art, there are some cookies on which you paint on the frosting.
Oh yes.
It would be cool to paint something for the holidays.
Look what I
Yes.
did.
Ooh, I love that. Emily did a bunch of water drops on her fin, so we got some cool blooms and textures going on there.
Nice.
Very nice. My mother-in-law actually decorates sugar cookies. She does a fantastic job and is very talented. And I used to help her do that. And yeah, we would play with painting on cookies and all of that stuff. We did designs with frostings. It was a good time. I used to help her make and sell her sugar cookies before Let's Make Art. Yeah.
At Easter time, we used your watercolors to paint on our face.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Okay. So I have my kind of dark orange coming out. Now we're not going to do our detail lines yet on our fin. We have to wait for our fin to dry before we do our detail lines, because then they'll get all fuzzy. So we're going to work back and forth between the eyeball and the fin to do layers. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my eyeball and do another layer of the pupil. And you're just going to use just a lot of color. There we go. That's a good darkness.
I don't really need another layer.
Oh, then you're fine. If your pupil is already pretty dark, then don't worry about this part. And I'm going to do another layer of the shadow around the eye
Ooh.
and the neck. But But again, I want to blend that out
Look at this.
so it doesn't look too much like a black eye.
Hey,
Yeah.
look.
Ooh, I love how that bled like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's why watercolor is so amazing, don't you think?
Uh-huh.
There we go. That looks good. Okay. And now my fin is pretty dark. I can go back and do, I mean, not pretty dark, pretty dry. Sorry.
Watch your head.
Okay.
On that fin for the
Are you on the
details.
fin? Okay, for the details, I'm just going to do thin lines using
Mine's
orange.
not dry yet.
That's okay. Just maybe blow on it. See if that will help it dry. I do that sometimes. Okay, so going in on the fin, I'm going to take my little round 2 brush. I'm going to just use the tip, and I'm going to follow the shape of the fin. So my lines starting at the top are going to follow this curve here, like so. And then you see how they have a slight curve, and then it's going to straighten out in the middle. Pick up some more paint. And then it's going to start curving the other way once you get a little over halfway. Again, light pressure, using just the tip of your brush,
I did it when
following
it was
that
wet.
curve.
I did mine when it was wet.
You can absolutely do it when it's wet, and look, you're going to get some really cool texture lines right here. You can see Emily's. And that just shows you all the different looks you can get with watercolor. It's amazing. So great. Okay. What step are we on? We're almost on our last step.
Oh, we are.
We're doing great. Okay. All right, we're on our last step here. We're gonna do splatters. Now, somebody asked if I go, yeah, splatters are so fun. But be aware of what's around you. If you're by a computer, you will get paint on your computer, just so you know. You will get paint on your cell phone if it's on your desk. It will just be everywhere. Somebody asked if I wanted to go back and darken up my ridges. You absolutely can. After they dry, if you want to do another layer where you're like, you know, some of these aren't popping like I really want them to, I'm going to go back and kind of redefine some of these
Sarah?
edges. You can absolutely do that. Yes.
I'm normally sleeping on days that aren't Tuesdays, but I'm always up doing the lives.
You
I'm
are?
normally asleep by this time.
You get to stay up and do the lives on Tuesdays? That's so cool. It sounds like your mom is really cool. Okay. So splatters. 2 ways that you can do splatters. These ones are big. These are nice big splatters. When you want to do big splatters, you can, one, get a bigger brush, or I just use my round 6. You want to make sure this is the one time pretty much that you will not hit your brush off the side of the cup. This one you want a lot of water on your brush. That's how you get bigger splatters. So I'm going to pick up some paint. I'm going to make sure my brush is nice and wet. And then, I mean, it will be dripping, and that's okay. And you're going to start doing stabbing motions, which that's really what it is, just across your paper. So it's nice and wet, and you just kind of like flick it. So if you want it to be directional, you're going to have a strong flick of your arm going a certain way. If you want it to just kind of be like a loose splatter, you're just going to kind of go more up and down. And you can switch the colors up too. So I'm going to do some pink splatters, and I'm going to do some yellow splatters. Okay, let me see.
I want big headache.
Yeah, so Nancy said that she noticed I was working on my eye, and then I went to my fin, and then I went back to my eye. Yes, in watercolor, when you're waiting for things to dry and you're doing layers, you can just work back and forth on areas. You don't have to be completely done with an area and then move on and then not go back to that area. It's like a dance, that's what I say. A lot of it is just back and forth. Keenan started dancing.
It's my seated dance.
It's good. Okay, I'm doing yellow splatters now. Now, if you want to do smaller splatters, those ones, you're not going to have as much water on your brush, and you're going to...
Hide, Seahorse.
Your Seahorse is getting splattered, but that's okay. You got some colors on there anyway. You're going to pick your paint up, and you're going to flick your paintbrush. I love that color.
I was just randomly doing colors.
It's a great color. It reminds me of sherbet ice cream.
I had mango sherbet ice cream.
Oh, mango sherbet is the best. So that's how you do small. You flick. If you want nice big ones, you're going to fill them with water and do stabbing motions.
I'm just being crazy. Yeah.
Okay, I think we're ready to show it. Are you ready to show yours?
Yes.
I love all the splatters on yours. That's so cool.
I'm not ready.
What's wrong? What do you need to add?
I can't put mine up because it's wet.
What do you need?
It's not as full to be.
Okay, here's one thing to show you guys. If you got water drops on your paper, if you lift them up, it's going to be lighter, right? Because water lifts up the
I don't
color.
care if I have water drops.
I'm going to show you how to blend it out. So if you get that, just take the paint and use your paintbrush and blend and cover up those lighter values. That way you don't have just a white spot on your paper. So just take a damp brush and blend it out.
I didn't get that much on a Seahorse.
Oh, good.
Only a little hint right there. Only a little hint. That I love. Maddie, don't pick it up. It's going to be wet.
Okay. Let's hold it up.
Mine's wet.
I think you can hold yours up, though. I don't think it will spill. I think you're good. Keenan,
Yep.
you ready for us?
Yes. It might be a little choppy.
Okay.
All right, Emily, you're going to be first. Are you ready?
Emily, the birthday girl. Woo-woo! Look at all of her splatters.
Here's Emily's Seahorse. Beautiful splatters. It's her birthday Seahorse today, I guess, right?
Woo-woo!
Beautiful. And we're moving on to Sarah. There's her Seahorse. Beautiful.
Very nice, very nice.
Madison, look at that fox.
She killed that. She nailed that fox.
Oh, my goodness, she nailed
You
that.
nailed it.
Painted it perfectly.
You put a nail in your fox.
And Jessica.
Woo-woo!
There it is. Look at those light colors.
Gosh, I
Wonderful,
love
very-
the textures you got on your ridges.
I have the most splatters.
So beautiful.
Yeah,
I have the
beautiful.
most splatters.
Okay, if you painted this with us, first of all, you did great. I did feel like I went a little bit fast tonight, so I'm really sorry. But you can always pause. You can always pause and catch up. If you painted this, share it. We have a wonderful, wonderful Facebook group called Let's Make Art Watercolor. It's a great community. It's only meant for sharing the work that you're painting with us and stuff that you're working on by yourself. So you can do that. You can tag us on Instagram, hashtag Let's Make Art, or tag us, Let's Go Make Art. And that way everyone can see what you're doing. And it's so important to take the time to look at other people's art and to put your art out there, because that's how you learn. I can be like, man, look at those small splatters that Emily got on hers. I love that.
Bigger ones, but I can't.
You got some good big ones though too, there. And this texture on her fin, like I can use that technique in other paintings. I love the texture that Jessica got on her ridges. I think they're beautiful.
I wanted bigger
I love the red
splatters.
color. I love the pink ears of Madison's fox and how they kind of blend a little bit right there. That's beautiful.
I tell you how you make it. You just blend it black.
Uh-huh.
A tiny bit black. Just put pink on
Uh-huh.
the black.
Uh-huh.
While the black's still wet,
Okay.
you just like put it on a tiny bit of edge.
And then it blends. I love that. See, we're learning all the time. So take the time to do that. Put your stuff out there. I know it's scary, but you guys can do hard things. The tutorial we're releasing tomorrow is our Make Art Matter. So that's what's going to be released tomorrow. And then next Tuesday is when we do the Golden Retriever live.
You already did it.
That sounds right. You're right, I did do a Golden Retriever, but I'm going to do the live for it. I just did the pre-recorded tutorial, so I'm going to do a live for the Golden Retriever. And then we'll start with September. So You guys, thank you so much for coming and painting with us. I had the best time. Emily, happy birthday. Keenan, you did okay.
Thank you.
And we'll see you guys next time. Bye.